around this thing. But anyway, at this point, that is the the big story in the Gulf today that may be capped. And again, we'll get into the Senate financial bill. What does it mean to us? And we'll kind of start with some of that, really, as we get the show going today. We're going to be joined here. McKay Daniels is on. He is the Director of Alliance to Protect Nevada Jobs, and that is because CNBC has released its fourth annual survey ranking states using criteria related to the attractiveness to business. And as it turns out, Nevada is number 47. Only like Hawaii, Alaska, and Rhode Island are in a worse category than is Nevada. And we want to find out what McKay has to say about it. Maybe he's got something to say about the Senate finance bill that some are criticizing, saying it is going to protect unions as well. And McKay Daniels is on KXNT with us. And McKay, thanks for coming on here this afternoon.
Thanks for having me, Doug. Good to be with you.
Let's talk about first of all this survey. What do you make of this? Why would be Nevada number 47 here? Just ahead of Hawaii, Alaska, and Rhode Island.
Well, the CNBC looked at a number of different criteria when evaluating the states in their survey, and one of those was the strength of the state's economy. And in that category, Nevada was tied for dead last. And Nevada's economy being in trouble is no surprise to anybody listening today. But what is surprising is that with this almost crisis level of economic trouble that our state is in, politicians in D.C. are continuing to look at legislation that would make the problem even worse.
You know, McKay, seems like no one, no matter whether you're conservative or Democrat or whatever your political views are, no one seems to be real happy with the way Congress is doing things right now.
and they've got good cause to be upset about it, without a doubt.
Yeah, what direction? I mean, okay, I know your alliance is to protect jobs here, but I mean, what do you think needs to be done, really, that would help this situation here?
Well, government doesn't create jobs; small businesses do. And first and foremost, the folks in Washington D.C. need to let small business do what they do best. And the most shocking example that we've been focused on with our organization is the Employee Free Choice Act that's currently before Congress, and this would impose forced unionization on workers. It would increase costs for employers, and it would make it more difficult to create jobs. And studies have shown that if this law were to be passed, up to 600,000 jobs would be lost in the first year. And we're trying to boost awareness about it. And
why do you think the administration is on this more regulation on business and especially small business? Because, I mean, we've got historical record, do we not, economically, that if you get out of the way of business, the entrepreneur in America can get the job done?
Exactly. And that's what we're standing up for small businesses over this next coming months to talk precisely about that. I think there's certainly been an attitude shift in Washington, D.C. of more regulation. And
McKay, I tell you what, hold your thought. Will you? They're playing the tune for me, and we'll be right back. McKay Daniels, Director of Alliance to Protect Nevada Jobs. And our time right now, 3:08. Let's hear News Radio 840, KXNT, the news leader. Allan's off today. I'm Doug Kellett sitting in. And the email is doug@dougtalks.com. Our phone number is 733-KXNT if you want to be on the show. Want to get your thoughts as we go along on the program today. McKay Daniels, who's director of the Alliance to Protect Nevada Jobs, is on with us. And there are a couple of things. CNBC has put Nevada here, 47th out of 50 states. Now, it's 57 states if you listen to President Obama in the past. He never got the idea it was just 50. But 47, that makes it sound better if it's 47 out of 57. And it's 47 out of 50. But we're near the bottom of business rankings, according to CNBC. And then also today, the sweeping bill that no one seems to really know what this is going to mean, the Senate financial bill today, and McKay's on with us to talk about this. And McKay, first of all, let's talk. You mentioned, and I had to cut you off here about answering really my question about why do you think it is that government, with all this historical evidence, if they get out of the way, things get better. Why are they not getting out of the way? What do you think?
Well, I think a large part of it is we're seeing an era of political payback. There have been a number of union bosses who have said very plainly and clearly that they expect to be repaid for the $500 million, $500 million of political campaign contributions that they did in the last political campaign season, and I think what you're seeing is a large part of that.
Yeah, and and of course it's a major force in the Democratic Party about getting people, especially out to vote, right? I mean, it's not just the money that they put in there, but they're also really the grassroots in a lot of regions of our country about getting voters to the polls.
They are. I think we're increasingly seeing a party beholden to a few select labor bosses, and that creates bad policy and kills jobs.
I know this bill is so broad today, and it's going to be weeks, months, maybe like Nancy Pelosi said some time ago about another bill. We got to pass it to find out what's in it. But the Washington Times has got a sort of an analysis this afternoon saying that this Senate financial bill is part of that payback that you're talking about. Let me read you this. They say, principle among the measure is to make it easier for unions, environmental groups, and other activist organizations that hold shares to put their representatives on the board of directors of every corporation in the U.S. It is called proxy access, and it's a provision in this bill which activist groups say they will use to improve oversight of corporate financial practices. Have you heard of this, or you know anything about this?
I have heard a little bit about that, and it's just another one in a long list of examples of this payback like we're talking about, whether it's the high road contracting policy or some of their appointments to the National Labor Relations Board, or implementing project labor agreements on all government contracting work. This is just another example of the president and the Congress going and
I mean, it'd be like saying having a major lumber company. I know we don't really cut a lot of trees really in this country anymore. They go overseas, but it'd be like having, I don't know, a tree hugger on the board of directors, right? Trying to stop that company from doing what they do.
Right. It's contrary to common sense, and unfortunately, common sense just isn't that common in Washington D.C. anymore.
What are we going to do about Nevada? Because we got about a 20% unemployment rate around here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's obviously the tourism is such a major issue with Las Vegas, and if the economy is down anywhere in the country or everywhere in the country, then obviously people aren't. That's one of the things they cut out. They don't spend money. What else can we do? Do you think kind of get through this?
Well, it goes back to what you were talking about a little bit at the beginning of our segment. Just national policies that affect Texas, Rhode Island, Florida, or anywhere else. We feel here because those are the people who come and visit us here in Las Vegas, and we need a strong national economy to help boost Nevada's. And as long as policies like the ones that are floating through the halls of Congress keep getting pushed and passed, we're gonna face some more dark days ahead.
That's exactly what I'm being told. I don't like to be one of those, what do you say, Chicken Little, sky is falling and all of that, or the doom and gloom type. But I tell you, everybody I talk to, it's involved in financial dealings or whatever, say that we're going to have more foreclosures between now and the end of the year than we really had all up to this time. And, and that the economy is actually going to get worse before it gets better. Well, that's not the kind of in sort of economic environment that creates jobs,
Absolutely not, especially here in Nevada, where construction is such an important industry, second to the hospitality and gaming industry, and 8 out of 10 construction workers are non-union, and Congress and is looking at passing legislation that would go and hurt those 8 out of 10 in an industry where Nevada's already got 30% unemployment or so.
It's also, according to Harry Reid, there are no illegal immigrants in that group, too. So, hey, listen, McKay, thanks for being on the show. I appreciate it. Enjoyed talking to you here.
Thanks a lot, Doug.
You bet. McKay Daniels, Director, Alliance to Protect Nevada Jobs. Our time, 3, different than that one, right? And, in talking to McKay a moment ago, and I asked him why are we doing all these wrong-headed things, especially when it comes to the economy? We know better. Now, Rush says